Namo Buddhaya Deepji, Namo Buddhaya, and Namo Buddhaya to others who have joined or will join. Um, ah, Namo Buddhaya Deepji, Namo Buddhaya. Just a second. Hey, Deepji, Namo Buddhaya. Okay, sorry. My voice is who have joined or will join. Okay, so we start our session with guided vipassana meditation. Sorry. Yes, we start the session with guided meditation, vipassana. So let me just put a timer and we will start. We'll meditate for 15 minutes. And in vipassana, one thing that I just want to say is that if your mind is not agitated, it's relaxed right now, you can directly start with vipassana. That means just observing the breath. Sorry, not observing the breath, observing whatever is arising in the body. So no need to like focus on the breath first and then go back to the body, right? So you can directly also start vipassana. If your mind is not agitated, it's relatively relaxed. So let us start. Make yourself comfortable. Close your eyes, spine straight. And gently bring your awareness to your abdomen. And note the rise and fall of the abdomen. When you note the rise and fall, you can note it as rising, falling. As the abdomen rises, note it as rising. As the abdomen falls, note it as falling. Do not change the pattern of the breathing. Just note the movement of the abdomen. Keep noting rise and fall of the abdomen. Keep noting the rise and fall of the abdomen. And when you feel that your mind is getting concentrated, you can leave the field of awareness open to note anything that is arising in this moment. It may be any pain, it may be any sensation, it may be any sound, it may be any sight in your mind's eye. Whatever you note, mentally give a label. For example, if it's pain, note it as pain, pain. If it's a sensation, note it as sensation, sensation. Keep noting whatever is arising right now in this moment. Keep noting whatever is arising. Keep noting if you find nothing to note, you can come back to the rise and fall of the abdomen. Or if your mind is getting unconcentrated, too many thoughts, come back to the rise and fall of the abdomen. Your observation Nothing else. Keep noting. And as you note, realize the impermanence of these states of body and mind. These states keep arising and falling on their own if we don't grasp them. Things are rising in our body and mind and falling away. Our job is to keep noting them as they arise in the moment. Any difficult memory arises, we don't run away from it. We note it with full equanimity. Noting, we don't run after pleasurable sensations. We don't run away from unpleasurable sensations. Keep noting whatever is arising in this moment. Keep noting whatever is arising in this moment. Full awareness. If it's a thought, note it as thought, thought. If it's some sensation, note it as sensation, sensation. Now we close the meditation. You can take an intention if you wish that whatever merit that you've earned from this meditation, may it go to beings in this samsara who are suffering in any way. May they be free of suffering. May they find peace. Okay, so now we come to the book reading, and we are reading this book. This is the book. Just a second. This is the book Old Path, White Clouds by Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh. I will continue from page 393. The chapter is A Handful of Precious Earth. So there's this story that Buddha was sharing with children, and there was this story of Prince Visvantara and Madri, and they were living in this forest, and they had a very difficult life, but it was content. They were content, but then their children got kidnapped, and they could not find a trace of their beloved children. Then Buddha continues and says, finally exhausted and discouraged, they returned to their hut, hoping against hope. Just a second. Hoping against hope that the children might have returned there on their own. Instead, they were surprised to meet one of King's messengers waiting for them. They were greatly relieved when he informed them that Jalin and Krishnaja were safe at the palace with the king. When they asked how the children came to be there, the messenger explained, several days ago, one of the palace's ladies saw the children being sold at a market in the capital. She recognized them as your children, and she quickly returned to the palace to inform her husband, a royal advisor. He ran to the market and told the merchant to take the children to the palace where he could be assured of receiving a handsome prize for them. The king recognized his grandchildren even with their tattered clothes and soiled faces. He realized how deeply he missed you and your family. The king asked, where did you find these children? How much are you selling them for? Before the merchant could respond, the royal advisor spoke. Your Majesty, the girl is being sold for 1,000 pounds of gold and 1,000 cattle. The prince, the price for the boy is 100 pounds of gold and 100 cattle. Everyone, including the merchant and children, were surprised to hear these words. The king asked, why is the girl so much more? Boy, the royal advisor replied, you clearly value girls more than boys. You never scold or punish the princesses for any indulgences. Even the palace servant girls are treated with kindness and respect by you. You have only one son, and yet you exiled him to a remote mountain region where tigers and leopards roam and where there is nothing but wild fruit to eat. Surely you value girls more than boys. The king was moved to tears. Please say no more. I understand your meaning. The king learned from the merchant that he had brought the children from another man in the mountains. The king paid the merchant and then ordered him to lead the imperial police to the kidnapper. The king embraced his two grandchildren and asked them about their life in the mountains. He issued orders for his son and daughter-in-law to be allowed to return to the capital. From then on, the king cherished his son and generously assisted in the son's efforts to relieve the suffering of the poor. The children liked the Buddha story very much. The Buddha smiled at them and said, Prince Visvantara was happy to share all he owed with others. Today you shared a handful of precious earth from your city's storehouse with me. You have made me very happy. You can make others happy by offering them some small gift each day. It doesn't have to be something you buy. When you pick a flower by the rice fields and offer it to your parents, you make them happy. A word of thanks or love can also be a precious gift. A kind look or a small gesture of caring brings happiness to others. Offer such gifts every day to your family and friends. The bhikkhus and I must go now, but we will always remember the fine offerings you made today. There's this one discourse that in which they were like there was an ascetic from another religion that they were practicing, some other kind of sect, and they were practicing like five six things, celibacy and generosity and five six things, and that they asked Buddha that if you were to name that one thing from our what we are practicing, which is the most important thing in our practice, and Buddha said generosity. Buddha gave so much importance to generosity, to giving. It's like there's this thing that if you know the merit that you will get after your death, in terms of the deeds, the positive karmas of giving, then you will even not whatever last mouthful that you have, you will not have that mouthful. You will give it away to someone. If you know the merit that you will accrue when you give. Now, that doesn't mean that you'll give everything away and we have our own responsibilities and everything. We have to be sensible, but some form of giving we have to do, and it's not giving by way of money only. It's the various ways that Buddha is saying, just basically building a mind of generosity. First, we have to cultivate that mind of generosity by being mindful, first of all, by consciously being generous in our mind. And if so, it's the whole law of attraction thing is there. Whatever is here in here, we will attract people in situations accordingly. So, if you compare Buddha's teaching vis-a-vis law of attraction, Buddha says that uh, your mind is, what you think. I'm not able to recollect the exact the verse, but what you think you become, right? So, Buddha says that if you uh, harbor negative thoughts, then sorrow follows. If you harbor positive thoughts, then joy follows. So that's the same way, right? So cultivating a mind of generosity, and then those opportunities will arise where we can practice some other way, right? So that is being mindful and changing, our natural unconscious way of living, where we are just like living like machines, right? Okay. The children promised they would invite more friends to go visit the Buddha and the bhikkhus at Jetavana. They wanted to hear more stories. The next summer, the Buddha returned to to teach. Afterwards, he went to Vulture Peak. Jivaka paid him a visit and invited him to spend a few days at the mango grove. The Jivaka was Buddha's kind of the medical attendant. He was a doctor. The Buddha accepted the invitation and Ananda joined him. The physician's mango grove was cool and refreshing. The trees were in the eighth year of bearing fruit. Jivika readied a small hut for the Buddha and prepared vegetarian dishes for him every day. He suggested that the Buddha rest from begging for a few days in order to rebuild his strength. He also prepared a herbal tonic for the Buddha made from roots, leaves, and fruits. One day, as they sat together, Jivika said, Lord, some people say you let the bhikkhus eat meat. They claim that Gautama tolerates the killing of animals to feed himself and his students. Some even make wild accusations that Gautama requires people to offer meat to the sangha. I know these things are not true, but I would appreciate your thoughts on these matters. The Buddha replied, Jivaka, people do not speak the truth when they say I allow animals to be killed to provide the food for myself and the bhikkhus. I have in fact spoken on this matter a number of times. If a bhikkhu sees someone killing an animal for the purpose of offering it as food to the bhikkhu must refuse it, even if he doesn't actually see the animal being killed. But it is told it was killed on his behalf, he must refuse it. Furthermore, if he merely suspects it may have been killed on his behalf, he must refuse it. Jivak, according to the practice of begging, a bhikkhu accepts whatever is offered unless an animal has been killed on the bhikkhu's behalf. People who understand the bhikkhu's vows of compassion only offer vegetarian food to the monks. But sometimes a person only has food that has been prepared with meat. Also, persons who have not had previous contact with the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha do not know that bhikkhus prefer vegetarian food. In such situations, the bhikkhus accept whatever is offered to avoid offending the giver and create an opportunity for a contact so that the person may learn about the path of liberation. There's this thing that one more reason why Buddha kind of refused, uh, just blatantly refusing not a meat was that if a person who is new to Buddha's teachings and a bhikkhu refuses immediately, that may even turn that person away from the Dhamma, right? So the rule was that you can consume only if you know that it was not killed specifically for you. But otherwise, bhikkhu's lives was that if they sometimes don't receive anything, then they go without food. They cannot like earn anything. They don't have money with them. They totally depend on what they get. Jivak, someday, all the people will understand that bhikkhus do not want animals to be killed. At that time, no one will offer meat to the bhikkhus, and the bhikkhus will be able to eat only vegetarian food. Jivak said, I believe that a vegetarian diet promotes better health. One feels lighter and is less prone to illness. I have been a vegetarian for 10 years now. It is good for the health and for nurturing a heart of compassion. I am happy, Lord, for receiving your clear teaching about this. Jivaka also commended the Sangha's practice of being careful not to eat food left over from the previous day. That was also one thing that was said because it becomes stale. Food kept overnight could spoil and cause illness. The Buddha thanked Jivak and invited him to come to the monastery to speak to the monks again about some basic sanitary practices. Next, we come to chapter 59, the net of theories. Jivaka's mango grove was tranquil and spacious. Scattered throughout the orchard were small huts for the bhikkhunis. One evening, a young bhikkhuni named Subha came to discuss a problem with the Buddha. She had completed her begging and was returning to the mango grove by way of a deserted street when suddenly a young man appeared and stood in her way. She sensed his dishonorable intentions and began to observe her breath in order to remain calm and clear headed. And this is what we can all do whenever we are faced with any difficult situation, immediately reminding ourselves to come back to our breath and focusing on the in and out breathing, right? It clears our mind of anxiety, clears our mind of worry, and we can take decisions with a clear head. Otherwise, what happens is the proportion of our mind that is filled with anxiety, suppose 75% gets filled with anxiety, only the rest 25% is able to take the decisions. That's why people take wrong decisions when they are in anxiety and fear and panic. So the best is approaches coming back to the breathing and the focusing on the in and out breathing. She looked directly into his eyes and said, Sir, I am a nun who follows the way of the Buddha. Please move out of the way so that I may return to my nunnery. And this is one of the sexual misconducts that Buddha said, that having sexual relations or doing a sexual misconduct with a someone who is following a convention, that means either he's a like a monk or he's or she's a nun, who are who cannot engage in sexual relations. If you force them or coerce them or kind of seduce them into doing that, that's a big sexual misconduct. The man said, You are still young and very pretty. Why waste your life by shaving your head and wearing yellow robes? Why live like an ascetic? Listen, miss, your lovely body should be clad in a silk sari from Kasi. Why, I've never seen a pretty woman as pretty as you. Let me show you the pleasures of the body. Come with me. Subhak remained calm. Don't speak foolishly. I seek my happiness in a life of liberation and enlightenment. The five categories of desire only lead to suffering. Allow me to pass. I will be grateful for your understanding. But the man refused. Your eyes are so beautiful. I have never seen such beautiful eyes. Don't think I'm foolish enough to let you go. You will come with me. He reached out to grab her, but Subha stepped out of the reach and said, Sir, do not touch me. You must not violate a nun. Because I was weary of a life burdened with craving and hatred, I chose the life of a spiritual practice. You say my eyes are beautiful. Very well, I will pluck them out and give them to you. Better to be blind than violated by you. Subha's voice was full of determination. The man flinched. He knew she was capable of doing what she said. He stepped back. Subha continued. Don't let your desires cause you to commit crimes. Don't you know that King Bimbisara has issued a decree that anyone who harms a member of the Buddha Sangha will be dealt with severely? If you do not behave properly, if you threaten my chastity or my life, you will be arrested and punished. Suddenly the young man came to his senses. He saw how blind passion can lead to suffering. He stepped out of the nun's way to let her pass. He called after her, Please forgive me, sister. I hope you attain your goal on the spiritual path. Subha walked on without looking back. The Buddha praised the young nun for her courage and clarity. He said it is dangerous for nuns to walk alone on deserted paths. That is one of the reasons I hesitated initially to ordain women. Subha, from now on, no bhikkhuni should travel alone. While whether crossing a river, entering a village to beg, or walking through a forest or field, no bhikkhuni should walk alone. No bhikkhuni should sleep alone either. Whether she sleeps in a nunnery, a small hut, or beneath a tree, no bhikkhuni should sleep by herself. She should always travel and sleep with at least one other bhikkhuni so that they can watch out for her and protect each other. The Buddha turned to Ananda and instructed him. Ananda, please make careful note of this new rule. Request all bhikkhuni elders to place this rule in their precepts. When the Buddha departed from Jivaka's mango grove, he went to Nalanda accompanied by a large number of bhikkhus. They walked slowly and mindfully. Each bhikkhu observed his breath. Behind the bhikkhus traveled two ascetics, Supio and his disciple Brahmadatta. They spoke in loud voices about the Buddha and his teaching. Supio criticized and ridiculed the Buddha. Oddly enough, his disciple countered his statements by commending the Buddha and his teaching. The disciple spoke eloquently and convincingly to his teacher, moving the bhikkhus who could not help but hear the conversations going on behind them. That evening, the bhikkhus stopped to rest in Ambathika, a lush forest that belongs to the royal family. King Bimbisara had announced that all the spiritual seekers from all sects would use Ambathika to rest in whenever they needed. Supio and Brahmadatta rested the night there too. The next morning, the bhikkhus discussed among themselves the conversation between the two ascetics. The Buddha heard them and said, Bhikkhus, whenever you hear someone criticize or ridicule me or the Dhamma, do not give rise to feelings of anger, irritation, or indignation. Such feelings can only harm yourselves. Whenever you hear someone praise me or the Dhamma, do not give rise to feelings of happiness, pleasure, or satisfaction. That too will only harm yourself. The correct attitude is to examine the criticism to see what parts may be true and what parts may not be true. Only by doing that will you have a chance to further your studies and make real. That means even making the criticism or the appreciation a part of your study, examining them, finding what parts are true, what parts are not. Bhikkhus, most people who praise the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha possess only superficial understanding. They appreciate how the bhikkhus lead chaste, simple, and serene lives, but they do not see beyond that. Those who have grasped the most subtle and profound depths of the Dhamma speak few words of praise. They understand the true wisdom of enlightenment. Such wisdom is profound, sublime, and marvelous. It transcends all ordinary thoughts and words. Bhikkhus, there are countless philosophies, doctrines, and theories in this world. People criticize each other and argue endlessly over the theories. According to my investigation, there are 62 main theories which underline the thousands of philosophies and religions currently in our world. Looked at from the way of enlightenment and emancipation, all 62 of these theories contain errors and create obstacles. The Buddha proceeded to explain the 62 theories and expose their errors. He spoke on the 18 theories concerning the past, 4 theories of eternalism, 4 theories of partial eternalism, 4 theories on the finitude and the infinity of the world, 4 theories of endless equivocation, and 2 theories that claim that causality does not exist. He spoke about the 44 theories that concern the future, 16 that allege the soul lives on after death, 8 that say that there is no soul after death, 8 that posit that there is neither a soul that continues after death nor ceases to continue after death, 7 nihilistic theories, and 5 theories that say that the present is already nirvana. After exposing all the errors contained in these theories, the Buddha said, a good fisherman places his net in the water and catches all the shrimp and fish he can. As he watches the creatures try to leap out of the net, he tells them, no matter how high you jump, you will only land in the net again. He is correct. The thousands of beliefs flourishing at present can all be found in the net of these 62 theories. Bhikkhus, don't fall in that bewitching net. You will only waste time and lose your chance to practice the way of enlightenment. Don't fall into the net of mere speculation. Bhikkhus, all these beliefs and doctrines have arisen because people have been led astray by their perceptions and feelings. When mindfulness is not practiced, it is impossible to see the true nature of perceptions and feelings. When you can penetrate the roots and see into the true nature of your perceptions and feelings, you will see the impermanent and interdependent nature of all dharmas. You will no longer be caught in the net of desire, anxiety, and fear, or in the net of the 62 false theories. After the Dhamma talk, Venerable Ananda took a walk and focused his attention on recalling every word the Buddha said. He thought this is an important sutra. I will call it the Brahmajal Sutra, the Sutra of the Great Net. This net collects all the false theories and dogmas of the world. So, beautiful knowledge. In today's reading, I will also check this sutra. Thank you so much, Snehaji. Thank you so much. Yes. Rather than kind of arguing over theories, and there's so many theories, so many philosophies, we have to do our practice. Okay. So I will close it here, and tomorrow we will start with chapter 60, Lady Vishakha's grief. Sure, sure. If you have anything, please let me know, or let me just check if there is anyone who has written on the live chat so I can respond to them. Just give me one moment. Fine. Yeah, yeah, sure, sure.
Actually,
Yes,
sir, I
Neha.
have one very silly question, which I have realized on my own lately.
Yes.
Like, based on our karmas, based on our deeds, we choose the difficulties of our life. So, my question is, sir, don't you think, sir, the more difficult the life, the more a human, will push themselves towards a negative path if there is no mentor, if there is no correct person to guide them. So, by choosing this difficult life, what exactly we are learning? I completely understand that theory, that, we need to rise like a phoenix, after understanding our, means after rectifying our own errors. But if there is no one, like I am blessed to have you, so if there is no one, because I know such people in my life, they are a very good soul, but they lack having right people in their life. So if there is no one in their life, so if there is no one to guide them, then they are just having all wrong thoughts of drinking, to somehow to attain peace in a negative path. So, don't you think like this question, like this theory is a bit like tough theory for a human being?
Yeah, I mean, see, that's again, this is a theory, right? It's like whether
Yes.
it's whether it serves you or not, you have to think over it. What as per Buddha's knowledge is that yes, the sentient beings, they they get reborn as per their deeds and their karmas. So
Yes, yes.
definitely karmas play a huge role in terms of what we face in our life. But the thing is that we come to knowledge also because of our karmas. We come on the right path also because of our karmas. And we have to look at our own life, right? We have to
Hmm. Hmm.
find out ways on how we can know. Now, coming in the knowledge, coming in the teaching, we know what is the path to liberation from suffering. We have to be skillful and resourceful to structure our life in such a way so that we can follow the teaching in the best way possible. Now, everything we cannot change.
Correct, sir.
There are certain things we can change, certain things we cannot change, but whatever we can do, and Buddha's teaching is the best thing about it is that you don't have to go and do some, rituals and pujas and everything, and some lots of stuff. You basically have to just be mindful of your breathing, mindful of your body, mindful of whatever is arising right now. Practice some acts of generosity, just do the good deeds, and continue, and just don't
Yeah.
think about
Yes,
other
yes.
people. See, other people how they are, we cannot control that. We have to
Hmm.
only see what we can do, and from where we are right now to where we have to go, the path has been given. So we have to just find out a way how we can live in the daily life with all our work and follow the path to the extent we can practice. Because
That is correct,
the
sir.
thing is that if you say negative karmas cause a lot of problems and everything, but then there are so much positive karmas also, that someone is actually coming in the teaching and reading the teaching, coming on the path, right? So it that also requires humongous amount of positive karma, right? So negative,
Right.
definitely there is this karmas that is there, but the effect of those karmas are only till the time you are unconsciously following those karmas. The effects last only for the moment we decide, and this is why Buddha said that
Hmm.
giving up the negative things and just being positive. So not positive, being present, and following the path, coming in the path. And
Yes.
when you come on the path, then basically the thing is that the impact, the effect of the negative karmas start reducing the more we we focus ourselves on the present moment and start walking on the path. Then the negative situations and things may remain the same, but the more we practice, the more we practice the effect of that particular things on our mind. See, what is the everything is basically the karmas are creating the impact on our mind, the mind which creates suffering. The more
Hmm.
we
Yes.
become mindful, the more we practice generosity, the more our consciousness gets expanded, effect reduces. Yes, the thing is that it will not be fully reduced. Maybe out of 100%, it becomes 80%. But we have to just what we have to come back again and again to the teaching and to the path, commit to the path, make that the center of our life in midst of everything that we are undergoing. So let's not, I mean, there are again too many theories about karma, that you have to face all the karma and only then
Hmm.
there is this thing that you're a person is a sinner if he has a lot of karmas, then
Yes.
nothing will happen. Then there is this thing that people used to born as untouchables because they've committed several bad karmas and all. These are all theories, right?
Um, right, so actually, so my English language is not that great enough. Maybe, I couldn't, reframe the question correctly. So मैं हिंदी में पूछूं आपसे, सर?
हाँ बिल्कुल,
So
आप
actually,
पूछिए हिंदी में, कोई प्रॉब्लम
so
नहीं।
actually क्या है, सर? My question was, जितना difficult life है, उतना एक इंसान गलत रास्ते में जाने में मजबूर हो जाता है, if there is no proper guidance from family or from outside world
नहीं नहीं,
also.
आपको किसी की गाइडेंस नहीं चाहिए। आप सिर्फ
Okay.
आप उस पाथ पे रहो, है ना? आप वापस वापस पाथ पे आओ, अपना मेडिटेशन करो। आप अच्छे से
Yes.
बुक्स, बहुत बहुत सारी फ्री बुक्स है, ठीक है? बहुत सारी फ्री ई बुक्स है। मैंने अभी पूरा एक फ्री रिसोर्सेज का भी पेज क्रिएट किया, वो भी मैं शेयर कर दूंगा। आप ना टीचिंग पे आते जाओ। आप ये सब
No.
छोड़ो सोचना कि आपको मेंटर चाहिए, आपको ये चाहिए वो चाहिए, कुछ नहीं चाहिए। बुद्ध,
Yeah.
जब आप इस प्रेजेंट मोमेंट में होते हो ना, बुद्ध एंड द धम्म, एवरीथिंग इज देयर विद यू इन दिस मोमेंट, ठीक है?
Yes, absolutely. So actually, this was not for me. I'm blessed to have you, sir. So
Yeah.
actually, ऐसे जो लोग हैं, I'm actually like convincing a lot of people to join you. क्योंकि
नहीं
I
नहीं
have
नहीं,
अच्छा अच्छा
देखो
okay.
स्नेहा जी, आप
Hmm.
किसी को चेंज नहीं कर सकते, आप किसी को कन्विंस नहीं
Okay.
कर सकते, ठीक
Okay.
है? आप
Okay.
सिर्फ अपने
Okay.
पे फोकस करो, एंड दैट्स वेयर ये जो प्योर theravada ट्रेडिशन है ना, ये जो दिस इज द पाली ट्रेडिशन, द ओरिजिनल ट्रेडिशन। यहाँ बेसिकली हम किसी को चेंज नहीं करते ना किसी को, हम बेसिकली अपने पे काम करते हैं। बुद्ध ने सबको
Okay,
बोला था आप
okay,
अपने पे
okay.
काम करो। ठीक
Okay, 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 sir.
है।
Sure, sure. I got it now.
एंड देन
Okay.
एज यू
Yes,
डू द वर्क,
yes.
somewhere someone will get joined, will get inspired, so we don't,
Correct, correct.
right?
ठीक है, ठीक है. So thank you so much, sir. Namo Buddhaya. So thank you.
Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. Thank you so much for the question, and so we meet tomorrow. कल मिलते हैं हम लोग tomorrow 7 p.m. Thank you so